Hello and welcome to my favourite matches of 2023, a year that was very much a key year for Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. There were some ups, some downs, something that could not have been helped, and some things that probably should have. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To meet the criteria, all the matches had to do was take place in a TJPW ring. If a TJ wrestler appeared in another promotion, I'm not counting those, so let's get into it. The annual special stipulation singles match between Hyper Misao and Shoko Nakajima starts the list. You want to talk about your 5-star matches? Bob that! I like putting matches here that also show off Tokyo Joshi's tone, matches that don't show up in other promotions and what attracts me to the promotion. With this match becoming a greatest hits from the previous years, with the return of the gachapons, kaiju toys, and introducing new elements like the bunny lumberjacks, Shoko and Misao give each other hell to start off the year, and everyone's a winner, so yay! A bit of tonal whiplash, I know, but that's one of the great things about TJ is that you can have a super fun gimmick match and then also have a great competitive match with two of the best workers in the company. A rematch from 3 years ago during Yuka's second title reign, where she was trying to redeem her first that ended in a single defense, and trying to prove herself to the ace. But upon losing the belt, Yuka lost all follow-up attempts at Cyberfight's biggest event of the year twice in a row. After smashing her way through the Princess Cup, she took back her belt and then had to defend it against the ace once more. Starting with some quick chain wrestling, changes when a rather nasty knock to Miyu from the outside heightened the brutality as it then became a target for Yuka. And the match just turns into terrifying move after terrifying move, showing the progress between the two since 2020. No more sliding Miyu down the Kurikan stairs. This is a hard-hitting match that never slows down and shows what the top of TJ looks like. We now move to the Max Heart tournament, the tag team tournament to decide the next challenger for the Princess Tag Championships, with Hyper Misao and Shoko taking on last year's winners Daydream. This is also a rematch from last year's tournament as well, with Daydream beating Misao and Shoko to advance to the semi-finals. After the initial attempt at Misao shenanigans is denied, we move into a fairer match, with Misao and Shoko trying to overcome Miyu's strength and Rika's psychotic ruthlessness. The match is fast-paced throughout, with Daydream always having the upper hand on the previous winners. It's exciting watching Shoko and Misao overcome. The aptly named Dragon Killer from Misao is a highlight for me, and I also love the finish. It is a quick rush of offense from Shoko and Misao, over in like 30 seconds, as if they knew they only had one chance to seal the deal. Which leads us to my next pick, the finals of the Max Heart tournament. 1-2-Million and Misao and Shoko can't help facing each other. They met at the first Max Heart tournament and also way back in 2018 when the tag titles were vacant, the two teams having back and forth wins. It seems this tournament was a pivotal moment for 1-2-Million, as if this experiment is worth pursuing. They've only made it so far together in tournaments before, but it never succeeded. Ito and Miyu have had breakups and reunions, with Ito the most cynical about the pairing, the two always losing it at the last stretch because they could not work together as a team. Midway through the match, Misao's mask comes flying off. Whether planned or not, it seems to give her the aggression she needs to go toe-to-toe with the ace. Credit to the camera work, where she decides to put it back on. The turning point of the match being Ito and Miyu putting their heads together, quite literally, and showing how well they work together, as they take back control each time Shoko and Misao seem to counter their moves, the last moments being Miyu coming in to defend Ito, a lesson she learned the last time the two were in the finals of the Max Heart tournament. I love the tone of this match. Right from the entrances, you can tell this is a different feeling from most other title matches. Yuka's low energy, almost dour walk to the ring explains perfectly that both wrestlers don't want to be here, but are going to give it their all. That continues from the opening lockups, with Yuka pushing Mizuki away, not yet prepared to fight her friend. And it's up to Mizuki to draw out that fire from Yuka. Maybe she gets more than she bargained for, as she is always on the back foot, clawing to try to match Yuka, who, after seeing Mizuki struggling, again hesitates. It's part not willing to pass on the torch because you don't think they're ready, and part, oh please don't make me put down my pet rabbit. But eventually Mizuki proves herself, after maybe not beating Yuka but convincing her that she's ready, and perhaps making Yuka come to terms with one more thing in TJP. The next match I like not just from the match itself, but I like it in contrast to the last, where Mizuki vs Yuka is emotional, heartbreaking and yet heartwarming. This match is pure comedy, and TJ are able to pull this off just as well. The crux of the match is that Yuki Arai has offered one of her SKE48 members to be referee for this match. Now, usually I hate special referee matches, especially if the ref is another wrestler, because you know how it goes. But the refs in Teach have their own personality that you can tell the match style. Kiso Daisuke is more straight-laced and can either be a part of a gag or completely invisible for high-stakes matches, whereas Matsui is like a bumbling buffoon, always easily distracted or knocked out. But this match runs down all the cliches of special ref matches, making it pretty much a parody comedy skit for wrestling fans. From the first fall not being counted due to the gong not being rung, to classic Eddie Guerrero misunderstandings, this match showcases wrestling comedy without being comedy wrestling, if that makes sense. Conversely, we have a match that is not even a match. Teach puts on a special members only show a few times a year, and they are a fan servicey as hell. From wrestlers embodying other wrestlers in the promotion, to special stipulation matches you won't see anywhere else. It's for the hardest of hardcore Teach enjoyers for sure. But I would like to highlight the Moka Miyamoto vs Yuka Sakazaki in a who can build a higher tower of cards within the time limit. Now, I don't know if this match was booked or not, but if it was, give whoever booked it a medal, as they are the new masters of suspense, and if this was not booked, then the cards aligned. To give us an absolute nail-biting finish. Like Cena and Batista at the Royal Rumble, it's the closest it's ever gonna get. But the cards falling right on the bell here is a close second. Yuka being the veteran, able to make a stack easy, but eventually crumbles while Moka is just focusing on her own small tower, clearly showing Yuka's experience. But after the first fall, Yuka is scrambling to catch up and she pulls ahead, only for Moka to drop her cards, which causes Yuka's cards to crumble, while the strong cards tower Moka had been working on stays standing. It's incredible. So, I know what you're probably thinking, Mitch, that was a huge stretch having a card stacking contest on a best match list. Well, you better leave now, because I'm about to talk about an hour-and-a-half performance art piece, Mihiru Kiryu and Yuki Aino vs Rika Tatsumi and Arisa Endo. What sounds like a fairly standard semi-main event from a weekly show has been transformed by Hyper Misao, as a way of exploring the pathos of one Mihiru Kiryu via a sort of It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Carol pastiche. It's something that could only happen with Hyper Misao's creativity, along with TJP being lax with what constitutes a wrestling match. At the start of the performance, everything is normal, a standard match with Kiryu on the losing end as she is usually seen. But time stops and a mysterious masked figure appears and offers Kiryu a chance to travel to a different dimension. Also props to Arisu for keeping this squat for so long. The two travel from dimension to dimension, with Kiryu embodying that dimension's version of herself, from an up-up girl version to a visual Kai version, but also encountering alternative universe versions of Teach characters, like short Staki-sama, and heel versions of Risu, and even more heel version of Rika. But Kiryu cannot change the outcome of the match as if it was already predetermined. And then Misao and Kiryu have a heart-to-heart. Kiryu explaining that she was a shut-in just like Misao, that it was with the help of her mother that she was able to come out of her shell. But as her mother's health deteriorated, Kiryu fell into despair, until she saw a DDT street wrestling match and was moved by it, just like Misao, and decided to become a pro wrestler. There are a lot of things one would want to change about their past, many regrets we are reminded of at inconvenient times, but for Kiryu, becoming a pro wrestler isn't one of them. Misao understands, and the two will return to their original timelines. Kiryu loses, but after-match comments from Rika Tatsumi explains that she was inspired by Kiryu's determination, and that if she too falls, she will get up and keep moving forward too. Okay, enough comedy and pageantry, let's get back to wrestling. This is actually an impromptu match, originally being a tag team match before turning into a three-way due to sickness from Nakajima at the last minute. So it's a testament to Teach that one of my favourite matches is something that was thrown together last minute. Thusly, there is not much storytelling going on here, but it is just super fast-paced and exciting. It's almost exhausting. So you can have matches that build on previous established lore, or ones that break down a wrestler's character, but sometimes you just want to see some girls let loose and see how many near falls they can have in 30 sequence. 2023 was the year of Max for me. I was excited every time they showed up. Ever since their first encounter with Palm, I have been interested to see where their relationship would go. I thought being rivals was the ultimate conclusion, with Palm finally conquering her fears and defeating Max, but now with them teaming together, it's far more likely that they win the tag titles. This match is also the rematch of Max and Aja Kong, and they build on that storyline here, as well as Raku's affinity with Aja. All while Misao and Shoko are trapped in the middle of these two monsters. It's a great match in terms of building upon pre-established lore, a reward for those who have been paying attention to this storyline from 2022, but the in-ring quality is there as well, with lots of good spots that show off everyone's skills. Now, I really shouldn't need to explain the backstory leading up to this match, as I have 2 long videos already covering the subject, with another on the way. However, this match was always going to be an inevitability. Since the two's introduction in 2017, it was without question that the two would fight over the most coveted prize in the promotion. It is a big match feel without the need of the tried and true 4 pillars. In fact, Miyu and Yuka are there but watching from the sidelines, cheering on their partners. The match is brutal with how hard-hitting it feels, both girls trusting each other enough to go all out like this. The two seem equal during the match, maybe Ito easing ahead a little, as she conquered Mizuki during the Princess Cup, but as a great visual, Ito attempts to claw her way up to Mizuki before collapsing in her arms and then taking a deadlift cutie special. I'm always excited when a new page is added to the Ito and Mizuki story, and this match delivered on that, and maybe anticipate the next one. I had no expectations for a quarter-final tournament match, but after the bell had rung, I knew I had seen one of the best matches from TJPW. I shouldn't have been so surprised considering it's one of the 2 of the 4 pillars going at it, but Rika and Shoko pair so well. Rika trying to cut the legs off from the high-flying Shoko, the two wrestle an absolute clinic, complementing each other very well. And the final sequence with Rika doing everything she can to hold on to Shoko to prevent the Northern Lights, Shoko trying to beat her down, and the counter of the double Northern Lights into the Dragon Sleeper is so clean. If I could put only one Princess Cup match, it would unsurprisingly be the finals, the annual tournament to determine who will challenge for the Princess Championship at Wrestle Princess. Does a great job of providing stimulating matches, whether that be ones that are novel as they have never happened before, or ones that don't happen often enough. In all the years these two have been in TJPW, this is only the 3rd singles match that has ever happened. There is no storied rivalry, just Yamashita is better than Kimiyu and beats her. She is the ace after all. And one of Yamashita's defining character traits is that she sucks at tournaments, but has slowly been working to fix that, making it to the semi-finals in 2022 and winning the Max Heart tournament with Ito in 2023, now needing to prove she can do it herself. But this was a career-defining performance for Kimiyu, the best match she has ever had, making me think she was honestly going to win the whole tournament. From going from a comedy jobber with an Old MacDonald as her theme, to a solid mid-card. I await the day that she eventually challenges for the top title and perhaps even wins it. Of course, I needed to include a Bishka-gun match on the list, and while Bishka-gun appearances have slowed down and I am afraid that this will be the last one ever, it was always in the back of my mind that Bishka-gun would end in 2023. I figured we'd get a little more wording as to when it would happen. Instead, it would be announced at the end of the match that Bishka-gun would be leaving Tokyo Joshi for good. The match is classic Bishka-gun with all the spots and gimmicks you'd come to expect from their style of matches. I suspect some may see it as a negative that Bishka-gun's last match is more of a comedy showcase match rather than a long drawn-out storyline that encompassed the whole year. I understand. I would love another Bishka-gun storyline to follow, and I get Antonio Honda's antics aren't everyone's tastes, as it can seem that he just hijacks the whole match. But I think he's funny, so sorry about that. But the style of the match really harkens back to the roots of Bishka-gun when matches were being held at Basement Underground, where things were more gimmicky so as to stand out and hide the girls' shortcomings. Now that the roster can stand on its own and gimmick storylines are being phased out of TJ, there really isn't much need for Bishka-gun anymore, so going out as you came in is a fitting end to Bishka-gun. The main event of Wrestle Princess this year hinged on if the new generation was ready to take over from the old guard. We had Mizuki, who had a very impressive year. She had been double champ and defended the belt from her former tag partner. Miyu, on the other hand, had conquered her own demons by winning not 1, but 2 tournaments, something she had always struggled with before. and with that momentum was ready to take on the top prize as the established ace. The match speeds up to a fast pace of big move after big move and then remains at that pace. The big difference in stature between the two wrestlers gives an easy to understand dynamic. Miyu is easily able to overpower Mizuki and really lay in those kicks and come up with new moves that show how dominant she is, whilst Mizuki is able to generate mad sympathy from being kicked and thrown around. And you really rally behind her during the moments where she bounces back with her own offense. By the end, both girls threw everything they had at each other, all their finishers and signatures, until only one was left standing. Considering it was Saki Akai's last year in wrestling, I had to include her final TJ appearance, a well-respected Joshi legend who cut her teeth in the male-dominated DDT and held her own. I'm sure many in TJ idolised her, but only 4 got to share the privilege of sending her off. Kimiyu, who always admired Saki Akai for her power and beauty, Hyper Misao, who has worked with many wrestlers named Saki over the years, and Rika Tatsumi, who has had many a run-in with Saki-sama, but I'm not sure what's relevant about that. Of course, we start with Hyper Misao shenanigans, with the graduation protest, but it is not long before that is stripped away and we have a great match. This will be the last time these wrestlers will share the ring, and it shows, with Misao even attempting the Vanitesse after so long. A great send-off match to a great wrestler. Finally, I guess I saved the best to last, as this was also voted the best match of the year according to the fans. So the match is free on YouTube, and I would make it a must-see. This match is Tokyo Joshi at its best. The Gen vs Gen format is not seen in many other promotions, and of course it benefits you more if you have been following these wrestlers' careers for a long time. Here we have 5 former champions. Shoko, who is a former Princess Tag and Main Champion. Mizuki is also a former Princess Tag and Main Champion. Yuka, who is a former Princess Tag and Main Champion. Rika, the first and only Grand Slam Champion. And Miyu, former Tag and current Main Princess Champion and Ace, versus a group whose biggest hitter is Miyu Watanabe, with only international and tag fame. So yeah, they are the underdogs for sure, and they play it so well. When Arisu gets the first pin, the audience erupts into cheers and all the team crowd around her to congratulate her. It's really sweet, and I think this format could be expanded on to have more drama. After seeing this match, I was dying to see a Survivor Series style match with this format of vets versus junior talent, and it really does show Tokyo Joshi's roster strength, as we have 10 of the biggest stars in the whole company in the main event, and yet they were able to prop up a whole show around them. So that's my list, and I know I left out some big matches, but these were the ones that leapt out at me, and do a great job of showing off all the different styles and tones that made me fall in love with the promotion. But let me know what some of your favourite matches were. I would also like to thank everyone who has supported me after the creation of the new channel. It was a real downer when the old channel was nuked and having to start over, but a lot of people have been helping, and getting back to 1,000 subscribers after just a year is unreal. I'm hoping to reach a new goal of 2,500 subs by the end of this year, and to do that, let's get some more career retrospectives on the way. Oh, and one more word of advice. When you're upgrading your computer and you are replacing your power supply, make sure you use the cables that come with your new power supply and don't mix cables, otherwise you'll fry your hard drives like I did.